Welcome, fellow humans. Today I'm going to tell the story of how my childhood was filled with rainbows. At first I didn't think anything about it because that was just how the world looked. And as I grew up a little bit, I was taught by adults what a rainbow was, and that made it clear that other people could see rainbows and they knew about them too. But one day, when I was still a fairly young child, I had been swimming with my father, and it was the evening we were walking back to the car, and he told me to look at the streetlight, and he said, "You can tell if you still have water in your eyes by looking at a streetlight, and if it has a rainbow around it, then you have water in your eyes." I looked at the streetlight, and as streetlights usually do, it had lots of little light flares coming out of it and a rainbow around it. And I was confused because isn't that how a streetlight always looks? But I thought to myself, maybe you're not remembering correctly. I mean, how many times do you really think about a streetlight? And you might have water in your eyes right now because you've just been swimming. So I decided to start paying attention to streetlights. And yeah, they generally have rainbows around them. That's the way streetlights are. But I knew based on what my father had said that that couldn't be the way other people saw streetlights. Otherwise his comment wouldn't make any sense. So I did what I usually did when I realized that I was different in some way, which was to say absolutely nothing about it. I don't know why this was my reaction throughout my childhood and a lot of my adulthood. It's just the most natural response for me, and you'll see it come up in video after video. But because of this, I did not mention the rainbows to anyone for a while. But I got to high school, and I was taught about light refraction. And I had a bit of a aha moment. I knew that astigmatism means that the lenses in the eye are malformed, and they're not a normal shape. And I knew that I had astigmatism. So I figured I must have malformed lenses that are acting like natural prisms. It's causing the light to refract, and that's where the rainbows are coming from. So I figured, okay, that makes me a little bit less weird, but I didn't actually choose to tell anyone about it yet. Eventually I found someone else who also had astigmatism, and I asked them if they see rainbows, and they said no. At which point I thought, well, maybe it's only some people with astigmatism, but I went back to not saying anything about it. But I mostly wasn't thinking about it that much, because I was busy with life, there were many other things, and this was just the way the world looked as it always had ever since, I could see things at all. And when I became an adult and got access to the internet, at some point I did check the internet to see if it had an explanation for the rainbows, and I couldn't find anything. But the internet has developed a lot since then, and when I checked recently, it was really easy to find information about it. And there's multiple causes for rainbow vision, but astigmatism is one of the common ones. So that's almost certainly what was going on. I couldn't find information, though, on how common it is. So I really don't know if it's not that unusual for someone with astigmatism to see rainbows, or if it's just a small percentage of astigmatics who get to see those rainbows. It would be interesting to find out, although I don't really have a way to do so. All I know is that nobody I've ever talked to about this has mentioned that also seeing rainbows. Unfortunately, though, since then, I had very, very significant eye problems in my young adulthood, and because I needed surgery in each of my eyes, I ended up with postoperative cataracts. After the cataract in my right eye was removed, I lost the rainbows in it because I had a synthetic lens. And because of this, I put off the cataract surgery in the left eye for as long as I possibly could, because I really liked the rainbows. It feels kind of metaphoric that seeing the world more clearly isn't as pretty, but it is just the simple reality of how my lenses were, because streetlights and other lights are really lovely when you're seeing rainbows all over the place. Or at least I think so. But eventually I had to pull the trigger and get the cataract surgery in the other eye, and so I no longer have any natural rainbows from seeing lights. And instead, I have my synthetic lenses that reflect the light a little bit differently than natural lenses. So instead of me seeing rainbows, sometimes other people will see kind of a weird reflection in my eyes, a bit of glowing white light, which you'll probably notice in these videos at times. I can't tell when it's happening because I'm only seeing out of my eyes, and you need to be seeing into them in order to notice it. The first time I've gotten to see it was with these videos. But I still can see rainbows because there are rainy days and sometimes natural rainbows occur, and I try to appreciate them because they're rare and they're the rainbows that I have now. And I can also, if I want to, of course, buy prisms. As they say, if your eyes won't naturally give you rainbows, then store-bought is fine. And so I haven't completely lost rainbows in my life, but I miss the common, frequent rainbows of my childhood. But I am really, really glad that I was able to get my surgeries and get my vision as clear as it is possible for my vision to be. So that's my story about astigmatic rainbows. And if you liked it, please click like. And if you know somebody who might find it interesting, please share. And if you want similar content, subscribe. But most of all, I would love to hear your comments, especially if you do also have rainbows in your vision. But even if you don't, if you have any questions or thoughts, or if you have some other interesting visual effect, that would be great to hear about. So please do comment if you have any. And thank you.